Looky, looky. I live in beautiful, sunny California. I'm going to tell you something. I haven't seen the sun in over a week. And I'm going to show you what is not doing good. But thank goodness we got stuff that's doing good. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. And you know what? This part of the garden is one of the best gardens yet. This one is my chair garden. And I'm going to have to say, I did a whole video the other day on just this because this is amazing. It's standing out in the middle of the yard. It does have plastic on one side and everything's doing fabulous. And then you look over there and it's like, what? Can't explain it. I did redo all these totes. And maybe that was it. Every tote I didn't completely empty, but I took a lot of it out, replaced it with leaves, but I did the other ones too. So let's take a quick zip around in here. This is that poor little watermelon I got half price. But you know what? It's still alive. It was probably a silly buy, but we'll see what happens. I'm keeping it covered right now, and hopefully the weather will warm up before it fizzles out. There's a little tomato in there, and then, like I've told you, that's a geranium. I do a lot of propagating at the same time, especially when I first set up the containers or these totes, because there's plenty of room, so I don't have to worry about it. As the plants get really big, then I have to think about, do I want to leave them? And if it's hot already, which we are not, I can leave them. So, you know, that's how I do it. The pepper is doing good. I've decided to not cover it anymore, and it's got peppers again on there. Then I've got this tomato plant. Oh, I'll show you something. This tomato plant is really big. Now, neither one of these tomatoes are anything special. These are just tomatoes I had growing on the deck. I liked them, took a cutting, or they were a volunteer and moved them here. So you tell me, we'll come back to this in a minute. Why is that one doing so poorly and this one doing so good? Though I do understand it could be a different type of tomato, but think about what could be the reason. And we'll be back in a second to that. In here, I have an eggplant. There's a couple of volunteer tomatoes. I'll probably yank those out later. This has been fabulous. We have been harvesting so much zucchini. I can't believe it. This is a regular Black Beauty. And then, of course, I've got the pitcher back there. And then I've got the tomato growing in the lifted pot. More zucchini. Oh, we got to get this off. I will use this for dinner tonight because I don't want to be bringing in torpedoes and dealing with seeds. I have more squash that I know what to do with, and that's totally false. I know what to do with it. I'm going to pickle it. I already pickled some of the yellow zucchini. This is called golden or yellow zucchini. It pickled up, and it was as good as sauerkraut, as if I was using cabbage. I loved it, so I want to pickle more. Won't do the big one back there because that one is giant. I'll probably just fry that up with a little butter, and that will be good. Walking onions in there, but the smaller ones, I'm going to grab some more. I've got more in here, garlic chives. Look how big these are. These are really big, these tomatoes. And then in the back, I'll walk around the back and show you, I've got red vein sorrel growing with some walking onions in there. There's two tomato plants in here. One's got lift. It's in a separate pot. One is not. So they each have their own compartment. Same thing in there. I've got the onions in the back there with the red vein sorrel I didn't plant. It came up as a volunteer, and I'm going to keep it because I use that for like green drinks. Then in here, look at this. I've got cocozelle growing. Look, more. I love that. It's a type of zucchini. It tastes very similar to the regular Black Beauty zucchini, but it's just fun to grow something different. There's, of course, my geraniums that are already well rooted and growing with some more red vein sorrel down there. And what's in the back here? Oh, I've got to get this off. These are small cucumbers. Look at that. And there's a few of them on there. They're doing really good, and I'm still protecting them from the draft that's coming up the canyon. I'll leave it until it falls apart or until it gets really hot. Maybe in July, I don't know. Then this is a tomato here. This is the sun gold. This is doing really good. Look, we've got tomatoes already starting everywhere. So we'll have sun golds pretty soon. A lot of little ones. And then here, okay, this is just a volunteer. I don't even know what kind of squash it is. I planted this. Then later I came back with this squash I had in the house that I didn't plant. It's a zucchini. I didn't think it was going to do good. It was really spindly. It's taking off. So if it really takes off, I'll yank this one out. This is a volunteer that came up. That's the watermelon I planted, what, 2 months ago, and it's still like that because we're too cold. And then, of course, my pitchers. which I really, look at this. Look how fast everything breaks down. I load it up with leaves and it breaks down instantly. So I can take that out, use it in another container. I could dump it on the top and refill it, whatever I want to do, but it's feeding my plants. Any idea why maybe one tomato plant's doing better than the other? Let's walk around the back. Okay, this is just a guess. Because I don't know enough about the tomato plants to say, oh, I know what kind this is and that is. Okay, this has got a pepper in it. And this pepper has got roots to it. Probably its own, but who knows. But the point is, the pepper doesn't have a massive root system. And it's growing with the tomato. We've talked about this. And yeah, I push things sometimes too. This is a tomato plant. And you know what the tomato plant's got, massive roots, and we know that the squash has massive roots. It's very possible that the squash is stealing nutrients, and that's why that tomato plant is not doing as well. I did an afterthought on how I was going to set this up. And though I want to trellis my tomatoes in a circle, so it's kind of like, a tunnel, I shouldn't have put the squash there. But when I did this in the beginning, I wasn't thinking about that, wasn't planning on doing that. I should have put the squash somewhere else and maybe had 2 tomatoes growing. But we'll see how it goes, but all in all, it's going really good. I haven't done anything with the truck bed, nothing. But I know what I'm going to do this year. It's going to be the easiest way possible. Going to pull those buckets out, going to dump them. I'm going to load them with leaves, probably chop up those shark fin melon or fig leaf gore, whatever you want to call it. Take the fig leaf gourd and I'm going to chop them up, but I have to be careful because those seeds will grow really good and it is taking off, and it's not a squash that I like. Look, it's on the ground. Even the rabbits won't eat it. Gee, that's a thought. But anyways, I have to be careful if I want to compost that because I told you before that a lot of times squash will travel 6, 8, 10 inches up in a container to get to the top to grow. So I have to be aware of that. So I'm not sure yet how I'll do that, but I definitely am going to pull the buckets out. I'm not going to prep or do anything with the truck bed. And maybe when the weather gets warm, I might do watermelon. Why watermelon? By having squash last time, I had to go hunt them down. Oh, I needed zucchini, I needed this. By doing watermelon, I can pick them when I want and I can hunt them down at that time. I've left the watermelon on the plant weeks past when it should have come off, and they were wonderful and sweet. So I'm thinking of doing that. But we'll see. You know how I am. I change my mind. Nothing new except we still have raccoons. They destroyed my plant that was in there. So Gary took the water lily out, and I think he put it in one of his ponds, and we're still dealing with the raccoons. Didn't really do anything down here, so we're going to just walk down and show you what's not going on. Now this one is doing really good. I did plant this. This is a Black Beauty zucchini, so I am getting tons of fruit off of this. But we're dealing with our weather with powdery mildew. You can wash it off, it's going to come back. This particular plant is doing really, really bad. And yet they're supposed to be somewhat the same, and not all plants are created equal. For some reason, this one's worse than the others. Look how bad it is, and yet it continues to throw fruit. So I'm not worried about it. What I'm hoping, I can't believe they're on both sides. Look at that one plant. It's packed with fruit. Is it's going to warm up, and once it warms up, I'll get a lot of the leaves that are really bad out. I'll compost that. And then the new leaves and the new growth will come in nice. But until our weather dries a little bit and being cold and damp, squash doesn't like that. Oh, I just planted this. So we'll see what's going on. I've got to get this done right with irrigation tubing. But this keeps any squirrels from jumping up. Keep that in mind because they will. They'll try to jump. The rabbits can't. But if the squirrels can get in there, they'll attack my squash. They don't like tools. So when they come by and they see the tool, they touch it, they leave. So this one's doing really good. I think there is actually one more. We've got one more down here that I planted. So they are coming along pretty good. Oh yeah, see? So I'm slowly getting there. I've got to empty that, except I like green celery. Look at the celery there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I probably will pull it out because I want to go with squash and maybe some tomato plants. I have so many seedlings I grew. So we've got that one. And then this one, you saw this one. This one's doing really good. Again, you know, no powdery mildew on this one. And we're getting fruit. So I don't know. I don't know why that particular plant is really having a hard time, but like I said, it still keeps producing and producing. So let's keep walking. Oh, I've got to harvest my potatoes. There might be potatoes in there, but this one actually went back to growing. So I do know there's potatoes. It's probably packed. See the green potatoes? I've got to get that harvested. You saw me do the dish pan. Just dump them. It's the easiest thing. I do potatoes in containers. I know Gary does it in the ground or different ways. He's got all different ways of doing it. But I want to be able to just dump them, take what I want, replant what I want, and keep going. It's the easiest way for me. Look at this. Easiest way for me. I'm growing tomatoes in a grocery bag, which is probably the silliest thing anybody can do. Yep. I think I got that one from Sprouts when I went in there. And they said, here, you can have a free grocery bag. I bring it home and I stick 2 tomato plants in it. Probably saw it, that was that big, and look at that. I'm going to tell you that thing's going to break apart. It should have been something that doesn't last long, like potatoes. But, you know, I did it for fun, and they're doing good. So think about it. If you don't have anything and you have a short growing season, go grab a plastic grocery bag. But the thing is, once it starts to break down, you want to get rid of it because it will crumble into pieces. I haven't done anything yet here. Nothing here yet, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might just plant this whole thing up with walking onions. This is going to probably be, I was stepping back today and looking at it. I think I'm going to go all cucumbers because it's already set up. Last year it was set up and it's ready to go, and I may not even take anything out. I might just drop buckets in, take those buckets out, dump the buckets, freshen them up with leaves and weeds and everything, put the soil back in on the top, and then just go gangbusters with cucumbers. So that's my plan because that would be the easiest thing to do. I'm just going to walk through because I have not done anything yet here. I'm still contemplating on what I'm going to do because I can only do so much. I've been working on my deck. I've been working with solar fountains. Okay, let's see. The peppers are doing okay. This one had curly leaf, which is starting to work its way out, but I've got peppers. The peppers are growing. This is a Fresno. It's a mild hot pepper, so it's not bad. And then can you believe this plant is what, 3? Going on 4 years old, the black cobra. It's made a comeback. So that is really cool, this one. They grow black, and then when they ripen, these are dry, they turn red. See, there's a red one. Isn't that beautiful? And they're hot. They're really hot. This came up. And this is a volunteer tomato, and it came up right the way it is, the basket and everything. So I'm going to leave the tomato, take out the Swiss chard. I've been actually using that for breakfast, but I'm going to probably compost more in that tote and just leave that. This is coming out. It's last year's plant. See how long it is, like a snake? So it's going to try, but no. I've got enough squash. As soon as the weather warms, I'll start sticking them everywhere. Green sorrel. Now here I did plant this one. See, this is no good. This happened to a couple of them. See how they rotted? Because we have been so wet. Oh, but see, that one's not. That's a good one. Oh, and here's another one up here. This is a new plant. I just planted this, so it needs a good trimming. I just haven't trimmed it yet because it's sheltering it a little bit. Sometimes the leaves are good for the plant and sometimes they're not. So very soon, as soon as there's no fruit on there, I'll do some more trimming. See, I did some. Take off the worst of the worst, because that's what you want to do. You want to take off the leaves that they don't need, which is closer to the base of the plant if it doesn't have fruit, because the leaves feed the fruit. So you don't want to take off the leaves, but you do want to take off the ones at the base if you've got too many and if they're turning yellow, because it's still going to try to take care of yellow leaves when it doesn't need it. Here's another one. They're really struggling here. And again, a fruit, it should come off and should be composted. But see, the new growth is nice. It's just this part, the older growth. So we'll see as the weather warms, more green sorrel. Oh, the lettuce. I love this. I have to do all these. I want to do them all because I need to have as much lettuce as I want. Now, these were my baby lettuce, but see, they're bolting. So I'm going to have to say I need to start more lettuce. That one I left for the rabbit. Look, I purposely left that for the rabbit. And then there's walking onions in there and garlic chives, nothing there. But see this? This has been fantastic. I took from here. I put a few small ones in here, the best looking ones. I do have one bolting in the back, but it's still nice and shiny, so I could use it. You know, and whatever I want to use lettuce for, a salad, tuna salad, salmon salad, or anything. and then even for tacos, and then replant a new one in there. But they're doing really good. Look at that. And they're covered, so no bugs. These I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get dill growing in one and get more lettuce because it's off the ground. These are those upside down planters. Picked them up at Walmart. They were blowing them out, oh, I don't know, 6-7 years ago for like $2.50. They had reduced them to $5 and nobody wanted them. My daughter was there. She called. I've told the story 100 times. You better get down here. They got them all for half price. That's 2 for $5. So I went down, she bought some, my friend bought some, I bought some, he didn't want them, he gave them to me, she gave me hers, and now I got them all. But you know, it's good for lettuce, and it's good for dill. I'm gonna get dill growing. So I'm still using them, I'm not gonna throw them away. My avocado tree, and then of course celery. Now these lettuce are doing really good, they haven't bolted. So I can pick them, they got a carrot in there. Here's another carrot growing. Oh look, I see a carrot. You see the carrot down there? The carrot came from here. So I let these carrots do their thing. And then when they have seeds, I spread them around. I haven't bought carrot seeds for a while. They grow nice. So that's what I do. And then here, I'm going to do the same thing. Take them apart. I don't need the parsley. It's gone the seed. I might start new parsley in there, but I'll probably get dill and lettuce in there. And I already figured out what I'm going to do here. That's going to be kind of silly. But these tomatoes, the plants look really nice, and they're last year's plants. I know I said I wasn't going to do it. I think I'm going to empty this tote. I'm going to load it up with leaves and weeds from around the property. Then I'm going to put the soil back, and I'm going to lift this. Look how far down this went. Because I don't want to pull them out. I'll lift them. There's 2 plants. I'll lift them out and put them in there and then water it real good. So I'll try to keep those going because I remember last year those tomato plants were covered in tomatoes. I mean, just covered all through into the fall. So I think I'm going to try to lift that. And then from there, I'll figure out what I'm going to do. Either keep the celery, probably not, or grow, something else in there. So that's it. So we're done with the whole thing here. Let's go in the front yard. I am very happy. I haven't done anything in the back. I'm slowly trimming away all the brassicas that have got powdery mildew back there, and I'm filling up other containers. But I got walking onions loaded back there, and then this is brassica. I've got mint back here, chocolate mint, all in containers. Then I'm going to do the same thing. To save time, if I want, since they all drain well and there's no roots in these black totes, I got these at the thrift store years ago for really next to nothing. I'm going to drop in containers on the top like I've done here. See the walking onions? They're in their own container. So they'll feed back and forth each other, and I don't have to change anything. Then I've got all these geraniums, which we're kind of trimming out because it's hard to walk around. That helicopter's low. I haven't got to this yet, but this is coming. This is a whole new, unusual project. And then I've got my table back here. It's doing really, really well. I've got the chamomile growing really good. Look at the chamomile. It's dropping seeds everywhere. I've got garlic chives, again, red vein sorrel. Isn't that cool? And then this is going to seed. I'm going to have this all over the place. They're good to add to a green drink, add a little bit to a salad. I wouldn't make a whole meal out of it. But, it's got a lot of nutrients, red vein sorrel. So I didn't plan on that many, but I have them. And then here, more mint, walking onions. I've got all this geraniums. If they drop, they grow. Look at it. Can you see that? Chamomile. And then I've got more red vein sorrel down there. And then this is just another brassica. Oh, I think I told you this last time. I chopped this up to not throw away, but to compost the whole thing. And it came back really nice. So I'm going to just use it somewhere. I'll probably use it for layering. Maybe I'll end up putting those in those totes because they're coming back really nice. So the leaves look beautiful. No powdery mildew on this. And they taste good. So I might as well do that. Got geraniums coming up. I've got a sorrel, red vein sorrel under there. And some of these are some sort of herb, but nothing you would want, a medicinal type herb that came up. It's basically a wild weed. I don't remember the name of it. And then I've got some celery, or it's probably flat leaf celery here. This is what I'm happy about. This has been doing so good. This is my tomato project. I am really happy with it. So I've got that plant there, I've got a couple flowers in there. I don't know if they'll make it. That tomato plant. These are the rosy finch. Oh, look. That was a flower, and it got smashed, and it's coming back. I think it's a marigold. And then these are the cuttings I did off the fig, my little blueberry plant. I don't know if it'll make it. I just found it sitting in one of the containers, and I stuck it in here for now. And then I've got the other one in there. So these are all rosy finch. My goal is, and those are empty in the back, but I'm going to plant more. Probably rosy finch. I may put a pepper in here. And then the walking onions, they were there and I left them because they're loaded with walking onions, the babies on the top. My goal is to collect the seeds from these because you only get 10 seeds. And if you bought a package of seeds, you get 10 for something like $4 or $5. I can't remember, $6. They only sent 10 and they got to pay for shipping. So I am going to start growing these. If I like them, I will be growing these and collecting the seeds. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, let's walk down here. So I'm really happy with it. The tool has worked out. Easy to lift. Go watch the video. I just lift it. Do what I need to do in there. I've got a little compost bucket in there. It's kind of, see this? This is an old coffee container. I just throw leaves in there and water it so the worms can go back and forth because that coffee container is all full of holes, but the top is open. So it's feeding the plant. That plant looked really bad. It's actually coming back really good. So I cannot wait to see how this turns out. If the weather was warmer, I can tell you something, and drier, a little bit drier, it would have done really good. Look at all the flowers. This thing just bursted in the flowers. Isn't that something? Oh, my potting soil's been here for what, 2 months? I use such a small amount when I use it. And I'm using it for the ginger, trying to put that on the top. So I've got to get the rest of the ginger out. I'm going to plant all this up with ginger. It's still in Gary's room. I haven't even looked at it. Who knows what it looks like? I haven't looked. I'll look in a few days. And then these I planted, and I am happy. They're finally taking off and growing. This is all turmeric. Anything marked in pink is turmeric. Look at it. The leaves are opening. They're unrolling. I'm so excited. I put this here the other day. I thought something was chewing on it. I wasn't. Now I just got stuck on that. And I had this piece of wire laying, so I'll just leave it for now. And so here is more turmeric because it's an orange bucket, so I know it's turmeric. Look, this is the blue turmeric, so I've got this one, and this one. I covered it because somebody took a nip off of it. Could have been a bird, who knows. And now they're not. There's nothing in this yet. It's not marked. And then I've got my stevia back there, the 2 of them that I've had for years. So I just have to finish that up. And I was actually going to work on it today, and then I thought, no, I got to do a garden tour. So I will work on this really soon. This is a tomatillo that came up on its own. This you don't want. This is sow thistle. Just drop it back, roots and all. This is a tomato that's coming up as a volunteer, and I don't know, there might be ginger left in here. I do plan on growing in there when I get to it, but I need to finish this first. You watch and see in the next 2 weeks, the next garden tour. This should be all green and so pretty. It'll be greener if I can get the rest of the ginger out. But it's still cold. A few of you have told me your ginger have not started yet, and I know that because it's too cold. All right, let's go into the bird garden. Look at this. Gary asked me the other day, what in the world is this? Look at the size of the leaves. This is orange mint. Oh, does it smell good? Just touching it. It got so much rain this year, it got massive. And it's coming out of the tote, it's going everywhere. I don't want to chop it out, I want to use it. Maybe I should dry it, but it is beautiful. These are these totes that are about 7 years old. They were over by the door before, and then we moved them, and I don't know if I dare move them again, but my goodness, they're going strong. So they've got garlic chives in there. I've got, see, walking onions poking out. You've got orange mint. This one's got garlic chives. This is chocolate mint. Let me see. Yep, chocolate mint. And then I've got a lemon verbena in here. And then I've got a mushroom plant. That needs to be kind of redone a little bit. And walking onions. And this walking onion is in the ground. It got to a good spot. It was coming through the water from the tote, and the area was wet there. And so it grew. So let's turn around and see what's going on here. More walking onions. Look at this. They're walking everywhere. The babies are popping out. Okay, now, this is a container that I don't think I grew in last year, but I threw a lot of the kitchen scraps. I didn't know what to do with them. Just threw them in here, and you can see the eggshells didn't break down, but they're not covered. and that's a problem. So if it was covered, it probably would have broke down, but it doesn't matter. I've been removing a lot of this, and then I'll set this up later differently, and I've been putting it in the trough. This is ready to plant. Another thing I was thinking of doing today, but with the garden tour, I thought I'll wait one day. This has no, let me move this here, no potting soil in here yet. This is all just soil coming out of flower pots that have been sitting around empty. There's been a few of them. Soil that's come out of that. Leaves, you saw 90% of it is the leaves from the garden, which is going to break down, and that's what it's going to look like. And then I took more kitchen scraps the other day I brought out. I'm going to put a little bit more, cover it a little bit more with the soil coming out of the tote, or just shovel it off the ground. And then I'm still debating if I want to put one bag of potting soil in here. So it'll cost me, the big bags are like $16 to $20, or go with a small bag. But I'll probably just top it because I've got a ton of plants I'm going to plant in there. I go, wait a minute, you told us you can't do that. I want to put 3 tomatoes in there, some peppers. I'm debating on a watermelon. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to plant. Yes, but I'm not just planting in there. I'm planting in there differently. You'll see when I get to it. And the way I'm going to do it should work fine. So I'm going to kind of decide on what I'm going to do, but I hope to do it real soon. This has been flowing beautiful. It comes out of that hose, and then look at the walking onions. I just have to make sure I don't trip on the hose. I might cut the hose a little bit, just a little bit, and then leave this here for the walking onions. They'll send their roots down to the bottom and get some of the water. This is great. And then here, it's just the same old, same old. It looks cleaner because I'm using all the leaves from the garden, and it's all going in there. And then once I'm done with this, I'll redo this one. There's nothing in there. I think there's one old brassica. Yep, that's what's in this thing. That's another one that's probably at least 7 years old, because I believe that's my first tote in here. Found it at a thrift store, or probably in the garbage. I used to bring them home. People would throw them away. I'd see them on top of their trash cans, and I used to bring them home. Look how old it is, and the only reason it bulges is I had a purple sprouting broccoli in there that fell over, and I just left it be, and it bulged it out, but it's still going strong this many years later. I don't know what's going to be when I have to empty this one. No matter what, if you load up a big bed, I know some of you have told me, oh no, I've never emptied it. It's physically impossible that at some point you're not going to empty it, because all it's going to do is collapse and collapse and collapse, and eventually you're going to have a brick. Because in the wild or nature's building its soil from the top, and the ground is different underneath. But when you're in a container, it's not going, to the ground. So it's hard to say what's going to be. But at some point, it'll be easy because I can shovel it up like I'm doing in there, probably in a few years. And then I can use all that soil that broke down and then start all over. But we'll see. That's another time, another place. Zinnias. Got my zinnias, and then I've got some other flower seeds I threw in there. I can't even remember what. That's weeds. Looks pretty, but it's weeds. Look at the polka dot plant. Remember last year, I went to Home Depot, showed you inside. You can go inside for the house plant and buy one beautiful house plant for $7, or you could go outside into the nursery, same store, and find a whole tray for $3.88. What would you buy? I bought the whole tray, all different colors, and they're coming really good. So let's see, let's keep going. Oh, this is just beautiful. All day the birds come. Now, of course, they left. Wait, there's goldfinches. So how many goldfinches do you count on the fountain? A whole lot. The parents have been bringing the babies and teaching them where to get water from. So they just load up on there. They're the cutest things to watch. Absolutely adorable. So let's get back to this in here. Everything's doing good. Look more. I only bought one tray. They're everywhere. I've got them in the other garden too, just everywhere. So this has been fun. I need to go through the fountains right now, clean them up, get a lot of the solar fountains. That one I think in the back just needs a cleaning. There's another one, but that one needs a cleaning. That one I think I have to check the pump in there, but nothing's going to work anyways. Like I said, I haven't seen the sun in a week. So there's not much I can do until the sun comes back out. Look at this. Mint coming up everywhere. So good. All right, so I've got the mint there. Let's see, that's another water feature. We'll get into more water features later. I want to empty this and move this. It got moved there because we were doing plumbing work a year ago and I never moved it back. So I want to move all that. And then a lot of the brassicas are really suffering with this weather. I'm hoping this is my pride and joy, remember? My pride and joy. It's like three-way hybrid plant. Well, it doesn't look like much, but once I chop it down, it'll send up a whole new growth, and there's a whole bunch of them, so I know I didn't lose them because I've got them further down over there. But they are suffering. I got a fig tree. I got to take that out. I keep forgetting to take it out. Oh, and all this is spearmint. All through here. Gary likes it sometimes for tea, but we're starting to prefer the chocolate and peppermint. Look at that. Oh my God, more lemon verbenas. Jeez, my gosh, they're beautiful. Lemon verbena back there I planted. Wow, so good. I gotta fix the solar panel there. And then what's here? Nothing. This is sweet potato I planted a long time ago, and I've never looked to see what it does. So we'll see another time. And then here, look at this. This is so tall. This is another collard. This is just a plain green one. I love their leaves. Their leaves are absolutely gold to me. And that's what I do, collect them. Look at the trunk on that. And that's in a tote. And I do believe the holes are on the side, so it's growing in that tote, but I water it really good. It drops so far down that as long as it gets a lot of water, it is happy. And these could be beautiful cuttings. Every single one of these could be a whole new plant. So at some point I'll do something when I get down here. I'm working in other parts of the garden, but I'm still foraging through here when I need greens. So that just works out really, really good. And then I got a purple tree colored coming up. This one is a broken limb. Look at this. So the limb broke and it fell on the ground. It did not set root. Not yet. They usually don't when they fall like that. I don't know why. You would think they would, but I don't want to lift it. But the other one that did it, it never set root. I even tried to cut it and try to force it to set root, and it didn't. So, it was this limb. So what I did was I cut the limb off, shoved it into this tote. Yeah, that was over about a year ago. Put it in there, and the limb grew. So I could do the same thing. I could cut it and put it in another tote, and the limb would grow. But there's the purple tree collard back there. That one fell over too. It just got too big. See, look at all the powdery mildew. Isn't that something? Just everywhere. I mean, it rubs off with your hands. You can wash it really good, but it's just going to come back. And then I've got a tomato plant growing in there. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. This tomato plant has just taken off. This is what happens when you don't stake them, do anything, and it's happy. But I'm not going to get the tomatoes. Everything else is going to get them if I don't either do something or take them out. But Gary saw the other day, he said, oh yeah, it is full of tomatoes in there. I just don't know what to do. Look at that. A whole bunch in there. I'm going to have to do something. I'm just not sure what, because you have to do something with tomatoes or you end up with it in the wild form. And that's what it is. The wild form running all through here, which is kind of cool. This is 4 o'clocks, and for some reason, they are very happy because, boy, did these get big. And then I've got more, look at this, purple tree colored. They're full of seeds, and the thing is, I am composting all this. This one is just perfect to compost, just like you do the leaves. You saw the trough, probably, if you saw the video. I just loaded the whole bottom with this. If you put it too close to the surface, and my daughter told me it happened to her, some of the seeds start growing, and then you end up trying to grow something, and you got all these brassicas trying to grow, which could be a good thing, if that's okay with you, but I don't know. Oh, look, Gary's making me a sink. He found that old sink. Remember, he found it in the trash. He brought it home when he got the gazebo, and he finally put that together the other day, and he said he's going to put a hose attachment to it. So it's going to be someplace where I can just pot up and then rinse the water out to feed this water, I should say, the citrus trees. Okay, let's step back to my beautiful poor papayas. I don't know. All we can do is wait and see if they're going to make it. They look really bad. I trimmed that one because the top was no good, but it's just this weather. I lost all my papayas out the gate. I'll show you all of them because they're tropical and they can't take this cold weather at night. So we'll see what's here. Those are no good. Remember, I told you that. There's persistent herbicide, I believe, in there. All 3 of those are going to go into that tote. That's my plan. Now, I can't plant in them because they're not going to grow. I don't think so. The other ones didn't. So I'll take this soil out, and that's the soil I'm thinking of putting in the trough That I know is good. I just haven't planted in this corner for a long time. Empty that out, put that in the trough, put these 3 in there. And if they ever start to grow, I can throw test plants in there. Then I know I can use the soil. Look at that, more mint. That looks like chocolate mint. It could be peppermint. This is dying back. This is a celery. There's not much in here, so we're not going to really go in there. My seedlings are still there. I've got my dragon fruit and different things there. And then I've got more mint there, and there's my purple curly kale. Look at this. The real bad leaves, I've got to remove them. But it's, like I said, as soon as our weather changes, then they'll look better. So hopefully the weather will change. I mean, after all, we're going in the summer, in a few days. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's go out here and see what's going on out here. Look at that, strawberries. No strawberries yet, but it's got flowers. So this is what used to be my papaya field, all gone. Isn't that sad? I did find a little plant that I had planted that was still alive, and I stuck it in here, but I don't have hope. All gone. I don't know if you go back over a year ago, you'll see all this had papaya. And we were growing so much, we got sick of it. So Gary still has growing in his yard. It's sheltered differently. So his is doing really good. But nope, they didn't make it. I'll tell you what is making it. The pomegranates. I planted these from seeds. Oh, look at that came off. I planted these from seed, and last year I got a bunch, and it looks like this year we'll get a bunch, but I need to trim this back. They got way too big. I've got rosemary back there, and then I think there's 3 rosemary. There's another rosemary, and then I've got that one, all from the 99-cent store years ago. It was in one container. They had a big pot, and I separated them, and they're growing everywhere. See, more polka dot plants in that tote. Look at the geranium. Okay, so what's going on here? Here's where I harvested my potatoes, and I put them back, and we ate those, and boy, were they good. Can you imagine if I had like 10 of them set up? I could just harvest potatoes all the time. Those are my onions. They're, again, I think too damp, but I did check the other day, and I did see, where did I check? They are growing, so what I need to do is kind of separate them, try to keep them a little dry, because they don't want to be that wet. Then I've got down here Malabar spinach, which is funny. I took that, and it was up against the wall back there, and I moved it here, and it doesn't like it here. So the wall is warmer. That is really bizarre. And then I've got strawberries. You saw me put this together. They're doing really good. Look at that. They're all starting to throw strawberries. So hopefully we'll have strawberries soon. And then what's here? Nothing here. I didn't get to that, but I did get to that. The tower, the bucket tower and vertical growing, fantastic. The pepper on top is growing peppers, and then I've got all my sweet peppers in there. So far so good. So we'll see how many make it. I planted, I think it was 10 plants, and I hope at least 5 make it. But you know what? I'd be happy with any, because those came out of my pizza garden, and those are the real red ones, and I want to say they're sweet because they taste really good. They have a great flavor, but they're no heat. So you can mix in 1 hot pepper to those if you're making salsa, and you're not going to burn your throat out. Unless you want to, then you can go with the hot stuff. I don't really care for it too hot. I used to, but now I don't. So this is one of my seedlings that I grew. I had no hope for it because I don't think you can see it. It got leggy, and I thought, well, I'll stick it out here, and the plant is taking off, so that is good. And then I've got a layered walking onion. Here's another tomato. This is a black cherry. This one's taking off. I got that at the nursery, I have to think, and then there was a whole bunch of plants in there. So I separated them. They're doing really good. Another yellow squash. It was all in 1 cup. 1 cup had like 4 or 5 plants, and I separated them. And there's the last one that I didn't know where to put. So it's struggling, but we'll see if it makes it. And then these are just some zinnias. There's my pitcher. I compost in place. But see, I'm going to have yellow fruit real soon. I want to pickle that. That was so good the other day. Now this I chopped down because it was real tall. You probably remember this is the purple curly kale. It was way up near. It was just too big. So what I did was I chopped them up, and where is it? Oh, here it is. I put 1 here, and I didn't want to mess with it. So 1 here, and 1 here, and there might be another one. Oh, another one back there. And whatever one makes it, I just put it in the soil and let it do its thing. Didn't do anything with this. Threw some more leaves and stuff on the top. And I keep composting in place and just layering. I just break off the brown leaves. But this one lost all its leaves, the red vein sorrel kind of. It doesn't have the real big leaves because it's gone to seed. Anytime something goes to seed, something's going to sacrifice on the plant, and that's usually either flowers or leaves. So this doesn't have real flowers, but the leaves get small. And then once it's done, or if I chop it off, the leaves would get bigger. My pepino, still have to pick that one, I haven't. Then in here, it's not letting anything grow. That's the milkweed, and the milkweed has a massive root system. I checked it. So what I did was I took out some of the watermelon that was in here, and I'll decide later what I'm gonna do. The problem is I've got monarch caterpillars in here, and yes, I covered them in Tullle because they were disappearing. And I knew why. We have birds, they're doing their job. They're eating the insects, and the insects are monarch caterpillars. So now I covered them. We've got all kinds of stuff that will do that. Wasps will eat caterpillars, and your hoverflies, which look like little miniature bees, will eat them. And maybe your ladybugs might come around, some of them, and eat them. Oh, look, what a treat. Look, we get to see one. Can you see it in there? I don't see them because they hide. See, that's the caterpillar right there, right there. I think there's 3 of them in here, and I don't know if any of them are making it off of here. I found one the other day, and I tossed it in there because I don't have this covered. The monarchs come and they feed on the flowers. So do the hummingbirds, and so do the bees. But I wanted to at least cover one, so I moved one off of there. But they were disappearing, and I knew what was happening. So I thought, all right, I'll cover this one. I'll leave this one. I really don't want to get into butterflies. I've done this before, and it's a lot of work. So I decided I'll just cover the one and we'll see what happens. That's a potato plant in there. I already harvested that one. And then that's just a 2 system back there. And then in here, as you can see maybe, I've got watermelon plants back there. So I'm waiting to see, hopefully the monarchs will do their thing in 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks after that, they'll fly away, and then I can concentrate on my watermelon, but I don't know. And then here I've got more tomato plants. And then this is just a little pepper plant. And then in here, let's see, this is walking onion. I like taking the brown leaves off, just putting it right back in. There's a pitcher back there so I can feed my tomatoes. So this is going good. Now these have to be replanted. Look, another black beauty I've got to get in the ground. This is really cool. I got this from the nursery and it looked so bad. And I potted it up right away and just sat it here. And look how beautiful it got. I mean, it was like, it looked like trash. It was really bad. So it's coming back real fast. These do come back real fast. This is the hummingbird's lunch. This is basil, and I'm going to leave it that way. That little pot, I took out a whole bunch of the basil first. Then I left those in there. But as I was saying, that little pot's got a lot of big holes on the bottom, really big holes. So the basil will send its roots into the tote, and it's fine just the way it is. So it's going to stay there. And then in here, that's where I put the watermelon plants right now, with the other stuff in here. And that's basically it. I still have some turmeric in here I've got to plant. Oh, and then the pizza garden, which I'm very happy with. I've got oregano growing. Now I've got basil there. I've got sage. This is tricolored sage. Look, mustard's not supposed to come up, but it is. My thyme is doing real good. So I've got everything I need because I've got basil, oregano. Look at that. And then I've even got rosemary. And that's why I decided not to go with the pepper. I'll have to take the irrigation tubing down because that was for the peppers. Decided to leave the peppers and have my own pepper farm. No, just do it this way. So there's my peppers. This one, something nipped on it, but the other ones are doing pretty good. So I'm really happy with it. Again, once the weather warms up, they should take off. We'll see. Oh, and this one made it through the winter. And I think it's the wall. Just being up against the wall, away from the wind. And I do believe I saw peppers on here already. This is a Fresno. And this is a little purple basil I found in the strawberry patch because I was moving soil around. And I did have purple basil growing in the pizza garden. So I moved that here. And that's nothing. That pot is just there so I can water the pot. And it keeps the pepper plant nice and wet. That's it. And then, of course, the geranium I took that cutting last year that I found is growing real good. And the same bag of soil, they can sit for weeks, but I only use a handful when I use it. Gary doesn't use any soil. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know there's not a whole lot, well, I say there's not a whole lot different, but my gosh, I'll tell you, I've got all the zucchini I want. I've got all the lettuce I want. I have all the greens I want, so it's working, and celery, so I can't complain. I mean, I've got a lot going. I'm just waiting for a little bit warmer weather. I'm just afraid we're going to go from cold to hot, and then that's not going to be that good either. But you know what? With the irrigation tubing, I'll just give it some shade. and it will work out really, really well. Slowly working on that. Gary's going to put some water down there. I think he's got a new project he's going to do there. So he'll have a garden there, and we'll have a little garden down there. We're going to call that the trail garden. Why? Because we got to go down a trail to get to that garden. That'll be really cool. There is so much, I can't get to everything, but look at this. This is the seedling that we planted here. Look at it. It's full of nectarines. Absolutely full. And if I don't start thinking about what I'm going to do with it, like covering it, guess who's going to eat the nectarines? Won't be me. Just before you think it's ready and I'm going to cover it like I've done before, but I never had this many. The deer will come in. I'll come out here and there won't be a nectarine left. So pretty soon. They're still hard, so give it a little more time, hopefully. And those are the apple trees. They just grow happy, no apples. Again, grown from seed, so we'll have to probably graft them at some point. So I hope you enjoyed this. So with that, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to eat what you grow. And I know some of you are saying, wait a minute, we saw your video the other day. What happened to the guineas? I'll show you the guineas at the end. Bye-bye. So as promised, we will do a full update. There they are. Yes, look what Gary gave one of my growing chairs. No, actually, I had told Gary, give him a chair to perch on. He gave him a perch. They didn't want it. They have to get used to things. They really love this little shed. They love it. They go in there all day. Then they come out and they forage around here. Let me step back. But, you know, I'm telling you, they are so happy. Aren't they? You got friends. You got friends now. Are you afraid of them? Because I don't know what they are. They look different. They look different. So yes, they're used. The dogs, of course, Gary's healers do not bother anything. They're real farm dogs. And there they are. It's getting dark. It's cloudy. They're going to stay in there. I think the thing is they're always looking for predators. But like I said, they're doing good. We'll do a full update on them and more on them. Aren't they funny? There they are. To imagine that somebody dumped them with the wings so cropped that they can barely get up that chair. Well, I guess you can see they can get up the chair, but they would never be able to get into a tree. Normally they'd go to the top of a tree and they would have been coyote food. Look at them. They like the chair. So see, you could do a whole lot more with a chair than grow on it. You could actually put a chair out there and put guineas on there. So with that, again, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Say bye. Success. They're eating.